The Devouring Void by Marcella Kelly. The void is endless. There are no stars, no light, nothing. It is a huge, empty space, except that it's not empty. The void is filled with darkness. That darkness is the void. One day, the void devoured one of the universes. It created rips and tears in the fabric of the universe through time and space, consuming it all at once. Nearly all the races in that universe were unable to escape the hungry darkness, except one. One planet, not unlike our Earth, was the last to fall into shadow. This planet was small, mostly obscured by clouds, only allowing small amounts of sunlight to come in. What light did come in was just enough to create life, although the cold planet remained mostly covered in snow and ice and rock. This planet was called Luxargi, the home of the Lumenic people. The Lumens were creatures similar to humans, although not exactly like us. As a race, they were pale in color. Their light skin allowed them to absorb all the light they could and was resistant to cold. Their hair was pale, sometimes almost colorless, but their eyes were dark. They lived in the beautiful cities that they had hewn from rock, and on the few nights when the sky was clear, every Lumen would go outside and admire the beauty and majesty of the night skies, filled with stars and distant planets. It was a clear night on Luxargi when the void began devouring the universe. The Lumens watched the sky as the stars and planets began vanishing, one by one, consumed by darkness. Soon there was nothing except Luxargi. The planet was growing colder, with no sun to warm it, and it was completely dark. The only light from the fires and torches the Lumens lit themselves. The void was coming for them. Just before it reached them, tears in space and time appeared on the surface of Luxargi. The Lumens didn't know where these portals led, but anywhere was better than here, with darkness devouring everything in sight. So they lit torches, gathered their people, leaving all belongings behind, and marched through the tears. It was completely black inside the tear. Their torches barely penetrated the shadow. The portals snapped closed behind the last Lumen, as though it was a door only opened for them. They were trapped there, but they were unafraid. They were alive. They were together, and they had fire and warmth. They survived for some years like that, waiting in the dark with only the faint torchlights, the darkness somehow keeping their hunger at bay. But then something started happening. The void found them in that endless night, and it began consuming them. It blackened their skin and twisted their bodies. The consumed Lumens went mad. They attacked their people and killed their own children, spilled their blood. The consumed ones put out their torches and succumbed to darkness, becoming a part of the void. The most innocent and pure Lumens lasted longest, stubbornly burning their torches day and night for millions of years. Or perhaps it was only a few. Suddenly, a tear appeared in the void. It led them to a planet filled with light, a hot, burning planet covered in rock and lava. But this planet had life. Winged beings made of flesh and fire greeted them, wary at first, but the two races struck up a friendship that lasted too short a time. The Lumens who remained unconsumed lived here with the Angelans for only 2 short years. But while they were there, they taught the Angelans how to foretell the future by reading the fires, and from them the Lumens learned to forge metals and craft jewelry with skills second only to the Angelans themselves. But it wasn't long before the consumed ones found their way to this universe. They came through the same way as the Lumens, through rips in the edge of the universe. There weren't too many consumed ones, and the Angelans were able to drive them back through the portals they came from, but they suddenly grew afraid of their guests. If they came from the same place, weren't they evil, dark creatures as well? Despite their dear friendships, the winged creatures began to look upon them with fear and suspicion, and so the Lumens were driven out by the Angelans, trapped once again in the endless, starless night. Time moved on. To the Lumens, it went at a crawl, but it flew by in our universe. Civilizations advanced, and all the creatures who lived here traveled far and wide across the galaxy, and the Lumens were still trapped. Then a device was created, and an organization was formed. Races from all across the galaxy joined forces to fight crimes everywhere, to end planet-wide violence, and to help all the people everywhere. Armed with devices that could transport them through space using artificial black hole technology, they did just as they planned. They called themselves the World Jumpers, and it seemed that complete peace within the galaxy wasn't an impossible dream after all. But every time a World Jumper used these black holes, they created a tiny tear in the universe. They were tiny, microscopic holes, but they began to grow. Poked and prodded at from the other side, they weren't large enough. Not yet, but one day they would be. The void only had to wait. The Angelans had not forgotten how to read the flames since they had driven out the Lumens. Using these abilities, they foresaw the consumed ones returning. They saw themselves being consumed by the void alongside everything else in the universe. They saw an endless, eternal darkness just beyond the horizon. They knew that they had to fight it, to gather strength and prepare for war. The Angelian warriors attacked whole planets, burning them in sacrificial fires, and devoured whole stars to gather the energy they needed. Many cursed themselves for the lives they destroyed, but they knew that the sacrifices were necessary for the good of all. And so they continue, even today, to gather power, sacrificing so many innocents to save everyone else. The time of war grows closer each day. The void will try to consume this universe. We cannot allow it to.